If the idea of self-driving cars makes you a little nervous, you're definitely not alone. Our next guest took that nervousness and blew it up, as thriller writers tend to do, in a full-on worst-case scenario. Linwood Barclay is joining us this morning with a glimpse into his newest novel. Welcome.
Hello, nice to be here.
Nice to have you here. You know, Katie Jameson, one of our producers, was saying, you're here so often, we should just give you a parking spot.
I'm having my mail sent here now.
Typically, one book a year. 2 books this year. Back in May, you were here for Take Your Breath Away, and now you're back with Look Both Ways. How did 2 books happen in 1 year?
Well, I can't promise 2 every year.
Okay.
This is a bit of an anomaly. So I had written, Look Both Ways is a little different than my typical thrillers. It's a bit of a techie thing. I kind of call it Think Jurassic Park, but instead of dinosaurs, it's self-driving cars. And so I'd written this book maybe 3 years ago or so, and my publishers liked it, but they couldn't figure out what to do with it because it was so different. So they've been kind of looking for I didn't want it to be my sort of regular annual thriller. So we thought, let's do it as an extra. So this is a little extra treat for this year, just in time for Christmas.
I like this, because, yeah, well timed. I like it because it's a little bit of a departure for you, still a thriller, but it also sort of follows some of the storylines from the news. You have this small town who's been told to test drive these self-driving cars, and then what ensues? Yeah,
so this big company that comes in and says, look, we want the best way to test self-driving cars is if every car on the road is one, because they have a kind of hive mind. They know where each other, is and so forth. So everyone agrees to surrender their cars to the mainland because they're all on this large island community, and everyone gets one of these cars for free for the use of a month. And everything's going wonderfully until the day of the big media event when a virus gets introduced into the system, and all the cars essentially become homicidal. And so it'd be like being on an island with 1,000 Christines. Oh. And so things go horribly wrong, except there's sort of one car left on the island that's not one of the self-driving cars that becomes something of along with some real human beings, something of a hero.
This is a really interesting idea. Yeah. I want to know how it happened.
That's a good question. I think I started thinking about this probably about 4 years ago, and just the whole notion of self-driving cars. I mean, I love cars. I love driving, and I grew up, surrounded with car imagery because my dad was working in advertising. He was an illustrator and drew cars, and so I've always loved them. And the notion of surrendering all the control to the vehicle itself and not being in any way responsible, that just makes me incredibly nervous.
And I believe this is one of the cars that your dad drew, and he drew this before they did photographs of cars.
That's right. That is an actual illustration and not a photograph. And my dad would do these beautiful airbrushed renderings of vehicles. And so we found a way to get that into the book.
I love it. We've talked about this before, how as a thriller writer, your mind takes something innocuous, like an elevator, in your last book, or self-driving cars, and turns it into something menacing, makes this thrill. What are you working on next?
Well, next year's book, which is done as a book called The Lie Maker, and it is about an only moderately successful author who is hired by the Witness Protection Program. They say, we want you to write backstories for our relocated witnesses. We're really good at hiding them and protecting them, but we're not very creative when it comes to imagining a past life for them. Would you write those and create a past life? And he agrees to do this, and as you might expect, mayhem ensues.
I love that premise. Got to get through this one to get to the next one. A reminder, this book is called Look Both Ways. Thanks for coming back, Linwood.
Pleasure.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.